Want to send a package to a friend? Maybe shift furniture to your new home? And send a signed confidential document to a client who sits on the other side of the city. Have you heard of Porter?
Founded in 2014, Porter is one of the largest intra-city logistics marketplace in India. Porter has served over 70 lakh customers in over 15 cities like Mumbai, Bengaluru, Chennai and even Hyderabad. Currently, in the next couple of months, Porter is planning to expand to newer cities. What makes Porter unique is how it has been able to include its data science team as a cross-functional unit, helping making better business decisions, advancing operational efficiency and helping in developing new products. Currently in an expansion mode, Porter is planning to hire more than 40 plus data science professionals for various roles. We at Analytics India magazine spoke to Nitesh Shende, who is the Vice President for Product Management at Porter. Let's see what he has to say about the data science team at Porter.
I think from this, of course, the inception of Porter, I think data and analytics has played a very key role in success of Porter. Whatever success we have achieved till now, and like what is we are kind of going to achieve more of. I think a large part of it is that we are making a lot of decisions really basis lots of data analytics, right? I mean, and not only that, I think so. When I talk about this, there are four aspects that I want to talk about, right? So one is that we want to drive certain product decisions and certain business decisions. So what I mean by them is product decisions are like, how should we structure our product in a way that matches best experience for our stakeholders? And that product decisions also we make basis a lot of data analytics. And then this second part of it is business decisions, like, for example, let's say how the prices should change and like how the commission should apply, how the coupon code should apply, like so many business decisions, operational decisions, city to city, category to category. There's so many business decisions to make, and like that's a second, kind of empowerment that happens through data analytics team, that those insights are given to business and product teams to kind of make decisions or day in and day out basis, like you mentioned. The second aspect of it is, like you mentioned, day in and day out, there are smaller decisions that are happening, which is what I call as a tactical decision, something like, and it could be also like something like on that particular order, what decision to make, for example, by the system. That's a more like a tactical decision, but more like a strategic decision is what are the variables to consider for pricing the service, right? That's a more strategic angle to it, and that is something that we call as a strategic levers that we have in business and product both, right, to be honest. So I think data analytics team plays part in all those four quadrants, right? Any permutation combination also. So tactical business and product decisions, tactical and sorry, strategic business and product decisions. So like that, if you put, then data analytics team actually contributes to all the four kind of decisions that happen at Porter. So the way we are set up is that the data analytics team is largely part of the broader product experience team. We also have people from design and product management, people who are part of the same group, basically. The tech team, which is fundamentally like software developers and software development engineers in test and like quality assurance people. So those people actually are part of the CTO's hierarchy, whereas the product head, that is me, my function includes design and analytics and basically product management, right? So largely that's how we are structured. But when it comes to actually working in particular business areas, there is a cross-functional team that gets formed between the folks from technology or folks from product and folks from business org, right? And that collectively they drive the business outcomes for those particular verticals or sub verticals that they are part of. So that's how we are structured, and I think we see a large impact that data analytics team bring to the table, be it saving cost, be it improving experience for the customers, or be it like something like you're able to scale your operations in a very very effective manner, So those are the kind of things that I think ultimately large scale automations eventually we are able to plan because of data analytics insights. So like I said, both tactical and strategic, and also both product decisions and business decisions. That's what our data analytics team actually influences. So data analytics largely sits as a function within the product org itself. But I think we do have like an allocation of them to a respective business verticals, like I mentioned. So it's like a matrix org that one person is part of the analytics team, but also part of, let's say, a particular business vertical in that sense, right? And it's like a cross-function matrix kind of an organization. Most people should be loyal more to their pods than to their function in some sort, right? Because that also happens. So I think day in and day out, uh, most of the analytics member are actually supposed to work a lot more closely with their respective business cross-functional people, right? So which means other developers, QA people, your product managers, your designers for that vertical, and your business people in that vertical, right? So a lot of our analytics team directly collaborates very strongly with the cross-functional teams out there, and they also kind of have to work with their counterparts within the analytics team also, because there might be certain know-hows that other team members know, or certain data sources, how to get this data, how to do this or that, right? So there's a lot of cross collaboration that happens within analytics team, and also there's a lot of cross collaboration that happens with wider business vertical people, right? So that's how we are structured, and I think both type of interactions happen almost daily basis for the any analytics team member at Porter. And I think the biggest thing that keeps us going, basically, I think from motivation perspective, that um, I think we see our purpose as kind of enablers of better decisions at Porter, right? And so that's kind of the purpose driven action that we want to drive. We focus a lot of our work not on output but really on outcome, right? What it means is that so we are not saying that okay, we'll give you this report or that report, or we'll build this model or that model, right? So we are saying that no, we want to reduce our cost by 10%. That's an outcome we are chasing, and for chasing that outcome, whatever analysis needs to happen, we are committed to doing it, right? And it might be creating certain reports, it might be creating models, it might be creating certain algorithms and all that, right? So it doesn't matter what it needs to happen. So we decouple ourselves from output, and our team focuses on a lot more on driving the outcome collaboratively with the respective pods, right? And the analyst plays the vital role of supporting a lot of data, providing the data and insights to the wider pod for making those decisions, I think. Yeah. So I think that's a very critical part. The second thing I can talk about is that our analysts just don't contribute to data analytics in terms of product and business development, right? In that sense, because our analysts might say, "Oh, I don't like this design," for example, right, and say that they can also contribute to design. They can question the business person's decision, right, saying that why are we taking this kind of decisions? So I think that a lot of collaboration and some positive friction also exists, and I think that should exist also, right? Every analyst is a human, and he's also co-owning that outcome, like I just now spoke about, right? So if you're co-owning a certain outcome, then you also want to kind of see how you can contribute to other functions of the pod also, right? So maybe it is design, maybe it is software. You also test the app, new version of the app yourself, right? Is it working the way you would want it to? So it's not just that work happens only for okay, my work is only to do analytics. Your work is to really drive the outcome through the of data and analytics insight, right? So that's how we try to position the roles in the team, and that's how I think mostly we govern our teams also, right? So we hold them accountable for driving those outcomes, working with the broader team. So I think in our case, a lot of complexity comes from the fact that data might be dispersed throughout multiple internal and external systems, which we finally need to kind of collate to kind of make a lot of decisions. So as an example, let's say fuel prices are actually external, right? So daily fuel prices are changing, and we need to have that somewhere in our internal database eventually, because then ultimately the data science algorithm will work on internal data, right? I mean, so we have to capture data from external sources like through crawling, through manual data entry and stuff like that. Or we might be capturing, events that are happening in our Android application, web application, and even Android applications are multiple, right? Partner has different app, customers have a different app, and so on and so forth. Then there are certain bridge systems, internal systems, where a lot of activity happens, and like a lot of configurations happen. So that is also there. Then there are actually transactions happening, and then there's customer support systems. So there is like vast variety of data that is spread out in different systems. There's also behavioral data that eventually we are able to capture, like what actions users are doing, how are they doing, where are they navigating, and all that, right? So ultimately, like data capturing and like collating itself is one of the biggest horrendous tasks that any, I think, data analytics team does. Same goes for Porter, of course, is that we try to capture data from multiple sources and trying to then kind of create analytics for particular use cases as we see fit, right? So I think our biggest challenge continuously always remains how do we collate a lot of diverse data sources and create a single store of sorts, data lake, whatever you want to call it, which can be used for further analytical insights by broader team, right? So I think that remains always a fundamental challenge for us. There's a huge complexity because certain times data might be, you're just not extracting, or certain pipelines may break time to time. Somebody changed the format in which they send us fuel prices, then automatically it has a ripple effect on us. And there are a lot of regional nuances to logistics business usually, right? So every city does not have the same rules. RTO of Delhi might have a very different set of rules, and RTO of, let's say, some city like Nagpur or Pune might have very different rules, or Bangalore might have very different one way to it, and they keep on changing also, right? So a lot of internal, external data, toll charges, all those things, right? So a lot of internal, external data needs to be used by our data analytics team, and I think so some challenges come in our way through that. So some complexities in terms of scale of the data, which is the quantum of data, like millions of users and their actions, and like maybe that is one angle. But second angle is like the depth or the breadth of data, which is like huge for us to kind of take into account a lot of our decisions. And I think the more we keep expanding our services, the breadth is just going to continuously increase, right? So those are, I think, our key challenges when it comes to first part, which is like data aggregation and collation. Yeah, so I think currently our team size is something like around 30 member team, basically, largely. And it comprises of all kinds of roles. So we have data engineer, like a starting role for data collation and aggregation kind of roles. Analyst, business analyst, senior business analyst, team leads, and then, managers kind of roles, right? So these are the kind of roles we have in the team. And, depending on, as you go higher in the hierarchy, your roles and responsibilities kind of keep broadening, right? So that's how we are structured as a team. The current team is around 30 member, and we're looking to kind of hire, at least 40 more people in next 6 to 7 months. That is primarily because of the rate at which Porter as a business organization is expanding. So we were in 6 cities. We are already 1 year back. We were in 6 cities. Now we are in 15 cities, and we'll probably be in 25 cities by next year or so, right? And not only that, even in existing cities, our depth continuously increases. And on top of this, there are 7 new verticals that we have launched as a business, right? So all in all, that's probably leading to a lot of scale and growth in our team sizes also. And I think it's also an important aspect as we scale as a team. We want to preserve that culture of collaboration and really, ownership of the outcomes and driving the impact, basically, right? So as we scale, and also at the same time have fun doing it, right? You don't want to be endlessly staring at monitor and like all 20 robots are working kind of thing. No, we don't want to be like that. And it's not key, okay, TGIF event kar diya Friday ko, it's fine type of thing also, right? The work itself should be fun. So we will constantly try to take bigger challenges, right? So if the pod is saying, okay, we want to try X, we want to drive 10% reduction in cost, we try to see how can we do 12 or 14, let's say, right? And that challenge is, I think, the fun part of it, that we as a team kind of will try to leverage. Yeah, I think typically I would say like 3 to 4 rounds happen depending on the role that you're applying for. And the aspects that we cover mostly in this interview or discussions is that one part of it is like some technical know-hows. It can be Python, SQL, any of those tech stacks, and also your core thinking ability in terms of logic, basically, right? How do you basic algorithmic thing, you can say, in that sense, right? So that's like one of the key parts of this. The second is, of course, the statistics and modeling part of it, your understanding of the statistical concept, modeling concepts, and general understanding of tech architectures to some extent and all that. And the third part of it is, of course, certain soft skills, basically, that are really, or I call them human skills rather, is a very key aspect of being a data scientist in our opinion. So we have very much like a dedicated round towards evaluating certain key skills depending on the role, for a business analyst or a senior business analyst or a manager or a team lead that we're looking for. And ultimately, this is usually a fourth round, which happens more from the basis of culture fit, right? Like I mentioned, that a certain culture that we want to preserve in the team. So there will be usually a culture related discussion about in how is the individual, is he or she very curious and continuously trying to learn, because we believe that things keep changing. Python might be replaced by something else tomorrow, something else might be replaced by something else tomorrow. So I think somebody who can continuously learn and is always curious about new things, and oh, I discovered this new tool, can I apply it in my team today, right? Kind of person is what we are looking for more. So that kind of culture fit assessment also happens. So usually these are the 3 4 rounds that we usually have. We In the third round that I mentioned, we also try to judge in general, how do you think about products, or product thinking is what we call, right? So are you trying to understand, oh, how does this product work? Why is this product successful? Why is this product not successful? So some kind of basic product sense also is important for applying for data science role at Porter. Why? Because that's one of the reason, like you can see, like data analytics is put under product as a function, because it's a very important aspect, that ultimately the product experience is what, like I mentioned, we contribute to business decisions and product decisions, but our value maximizes when we contribute a lot of positive product decisions, because the outcomes just magnify like anything, right? So that's the reason that product sense or product thinking or understanding, ecosystem understanding, I think in general we value that. So that's usually the third round, and fourth, like I mentioned, is a culture fit round. So usually these will be the 4 rounds that we typically do. For certain junior positions, we might combine the rounds by having 2 people to the interview in the one go and all that. But usually for senior business analyst and above, we usually probably have 4 rounds. In some cases, we do also some assignment kind of thing. Like we might have a kind of an assignment thrown in. That's usually our way of kind of filtering certain candidates more than anything else. One thing about Porter as an organization, and also data science as a team within it, also as a culture, that is very important for us, is that we call ourselves like a nurturing organization, right? So what it means, and we are not a disrupting organization, right? So those are two opposite. So disrupting is not the word we would like to associate with as a brand or as a team also, for that matter. We are more like a nurturing. We do tech transformations. I mean, we are basically a technology transformation company at the end of the day. So that is like, and usually tech transformation bring efficiencies and all, like usual effectiveness into the game, right? But I think we don't call ourselves to be a very disruptive organization. We call ourselves to be nurturing. So we nurture the change, we nurture people, we nurture the ecosystem, right? So you would not find that we make decisions as a team or as a data science team or a Porter as an organization that probably disrupts anybody. So we don't want to kind of make okay, let's grow 4x by disrupting this kind of one type of stakeholder. No, right? So we as an organization, although let's say we could do that technically, we don't do that, right? And that's a conscious choice, that we don't want to make decisions which usually upset one type of stakeholder, and more like a zero sum game, right? So we don't want to play a lot of zero sum games. We want to play a game where more parties, at least one party benefits, all other are neutral, right? So that is a better game for us to get into. So as a culture, I think that's one of the very key elements. And like I said, from a nurturing perspective, so curiosity is something that we look for from a learning perspective. It also helps us nurture people in our organizations. Like I mentioned, uh, probably at some point we were a 5-member data science team. Now we are 25 to 30-member team. So a lot of our people have gone through those role changes from, let's say, business analyst to senior business analyst to team lead and managers eventually, and maybe even directors now, right? So that kind of growth path is basically be nurturing your people, right? I mean, as the team grows, as the company grows, we want to have a leeway for our people to grow. We try to avoid hiring laterally for some positions, because then we want to leave a growth path for certain people in our team. So that probably comes with the nurturing culture, right? So that's, I think, a very, very important aspect of our culture, that a lot of our interactions are actually more driven for long term, and they're not trying to disrupt anybody in some sense. So, like I said, usually we have a three-way evaluation for people in the team, right? The three aspects of them are: first is your business outcomes, right? So I put the product outcomes largely driving the business outcome eventually, right? So your contribution to company's business outcomes is probably 35-40% of your weightage goes towards that, right? Next 30% basically goes towards your own competency development, right? So if you had 5 competencies, your spider graph look like something like this. What is the spider graph looking like 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, right? If there was one dimension of the skills or competency that you're lacking, have you developed it for the next role in your next hierarchy? So as you grow, obviously there are certain competencies that you need to continuously improve upon, right? So maybe it is statistics related, maybe it is human skills related, maybe it is leadership related, or maybe it is like actual tech skill, right? That you want to learn, right? So competency building probably forms another 30% weightage, and the next 30% is related to larger contributions to Porter as an organization, basically, and culture, yeah, right? So that is the 30%. So like that 40-30-30 is the kind of weightage we give generally for evaluation of performance. A large part of it, of course, like 40% of it goes to business outcomes, but then there are this your own competency development as another 30%, and your contributions to Porter as an organization and culture, that is another 30%. So usually that's how we evaluate people. And business outcomes usually are like centered around three things, right? One is, of course, boosting the revenue or growth. Another is, of course, reducing the cost in some way or another, or third thing could be improving scalability of the business in some way. So these three aspects are key from business out. Usually your business outcome will be centered around these 3-4 key themes, and that's how we basically benchmark people eventually. That and also we try to kind of set the OKR at individual, like objective key result kind of framework. We like to set for individual level as well as team level, right? And those are not linked to your performance evaluation, because performance evaluation is separate. That's more for you to learn how you are growing as an individual. The team level OKRs are more for we stretching ourselves. For example, that okay, we want to get into this kind of analytics as a team, or we want to adopt certain tools and processes within team. So those OKRs are at the team level, and we all kind of contribute to that. So that's how largely we kind of centered our own evaluation. One maybe a couple of them I want to talk about. One basic mistake I have seen is that so there is a dip. If you remember, till 10th, like 5th to 10th standard, we used to have this maths problems. There used to be two types of problem, if you remember. One was straight away four digit number, do multiplication, division, square root, something. Like it's very mechanical mathematics in that sense, right? And basically just formula hai, usko apply karna hai, solve a quadratic equation, things like that. It's a very mechanical mathematics part of it. But the second one used to be interesting, and that's how most engineering entrance exams are structured, which are like word problem, right? Saying that, oh, I have this 20 apples, now I ate 4 apple, I gave 3 apple to somebody. This starts at 4th standard itself, right? And now tell me how many apples are left, right? So this word problem aspect of it, I think, is the key thing, right? So a good data scientist or a great data scientist will be good at solving word problems at the end of the day, right? If I go back to their history and see how did they do in fourth, fifth standard mathematics, they would be good at solving word problems, or at least they should get better at solving word problems as they progress in their career. What I find missing is somebody might be doing, oh, this is linear regression, this is this is that, this is r square, this is p value, like blah blah blah. But then when it actually comes down to, let's say, oh, where should I apply all this, right? Then that's where the word problem or case study approach comes into the picture, right? It's saying, if you really want to kind of see, one of the biggest things that for data science team is always to prioritize where we want to apply what, right? So is this something where we want to apply a model? Is this something that we want to apply machine learning kind of thing? Is this something that we are okay with reports, let's say, or a dashboard or an alarm kind of a system, notification or on top, or a manual alarm kind of things? So I think that's the real key, that understanding those word problems or understanding the context of business in general, right? That's what like word problem is all about, that, right? You're converting your set of context into a direct mathematical problem eventually, right? And that opportunity, where do you, how do you find that opportunities and how do you apply it? I think that's big, very very important. So we are, suppose I ask somebody, they tell me how to apply, how to do linear regression, but then why are we doing linear regression for something, right? And what will be the actual outcome of this linear regression, right? How will it contribute to actual business decision? That connect sometimes I find missing in certain candidates, and which probably is easy to develop in my opinion, just that probably they need to start applying and thinking more about, okay, this kind of problem or this kind of statistical methods, how should I apply and where should I apply and how should I apply, right? So that more practice if they did, I think they would be they would do far better in our interviews, I think, some of them, right? Because they just had everything. I mean, they were very good in maths basically, but just not good at word problems, right? And so that sometimes pains us, but yeah, I mean, I think that is something, if that changes, and sometimes we take close calls also that can we groom some person to kind of adopt, and yes, we do accept that cases also. But mostly I think that's one thing that I would like to see improvement in the candidates, that they start applying or start practicing more like a word problem thing, and like ability to identify where and which data science technique to use where, right, kind of things, right? So that will only come through case study kind of things. It won't come through normal, I think, exercises, right? And usually people are, we find people are good at SQL and well, maybe basic Python and all that, right? But I think the more important part is this, right? Like where to structure, how do you structure things? And I think the second part that I see missing in some people is like, they should be aware of the current context, right? For example, in data science, what are the new types of tools that are coming in? Oh, Pell, earlier used to do ETL like this, now we are doing this, right? And that kind of stuff. This retool company has come, this has come, that. So some latest trends, if they're aware, all right, say at the end of the day, we are not really in the, we are in the 21st century, right? We are not in the manufacturing era. Everything is an abstract problem that we're trying to solve. And which tools you use to solve the problem, it's all about working smart rather than hard, in my opinion, right? So if that's the case, then they should actually boost up their awareness of, oh, this problem could have been solved using that tool, for example, kind of thing, right? Or this kind of technology. That I find, see, basic SQL, Python, anybody can learn, but then like there are some nice tools that have come in the market. If you have some general awareness of those off the shelf tools, so why to reinvent the wheel, right? It's better to kind of use existing tools and technologies and solve the problem at hand faster, right? I think that's something I find as a second thing that is missing, and that could have been better for a lot of candidates. For example, like most businesses are, let's say, marketplaces, right? So in general, you should be aware that in a marketplace, there's supply side, there's usually demand side. Then how does supply thing works? How does matchmaking happen? And this basic understanding of those things, if that's there, then okay, this kind of thing, okay, I can do, or maybe I can do predictive analytics by doing this for supply side. Maybe I can do this for doing predictive analytics on demand side, or maybe I can use this kind of thing for matchmaking, better matchmaking. So that kind of thing, I think, is the key understanding that I think If the potential candidates develop more of that understanding, what is a pirate metric framework, or what is a non-star metric framework. So those kind of understanding, they might be intuitively having that, but it's just better to have a polished version of it, so that it for you also it's more clear that what you should be really understanding and applying. Not only get to interact with a lot of people, collaboratively work with them to drive really large outcomes at the end of the day, right? And there are massive problems that Porter is trying to solve in the logistics space, and you can be part of it, and you can upskill yourselves continuously, and there's a continuous growth path that like you mentioned, right? So Porter management leadership is committed to building a very strong data analytics organization, and we've always been like from day one we have been like that, right? And it just shows like as Porter is growing, Porter's data analytics team is also growing, right? And that just shows basically that how committed we are to kind of probably continuously invest in this team and continuously grow this team, right? And so there's a natural commitment, and there's a natural growth that is at offering for anybody who joins Porter Data Science. Even there's a natural challenge to it also, right? That like I talked about, right? That we're taking up big challenges, big audacious goals, and trying to meet them. So those kind of things should be attractive to a lot of people. The second part of it is the real purpose of Porter as an organization, right? So I don't know if you've heard about that, right? The impact that we create on our ecosystem is actually huge. We change lives. It's an understatement in some sense, right? Because what I see is that for the people whom we serve, especially on our partner side, right? They are kind of trying to ensure that they have a steady, healthy income and also have flexibility of work. Those are the primary things that they're chasing in life. And when we make life better for them, the impact is just 10 times actually better, right? So the purpose of somebody joining, so I can join, let's say, some media company and entertain more people by doing data analytics. You know which company I'm talking about, right? But then that's creating entertainment for a lot of people, right? But here you're actually changing lives through your data science work, right? So if there's a Porter partner who is earning X, you're making them earn 30-40% more because of technology and data analytics that you're building. That's a massive outcome in the large time time frame that you'll achieve, right? So if you work here for a few years, you would have changed many lives, right? And that's not something that you'll do in every industry, I think. And Porter as an organization, like I said, is a very nurturing organization. It's always trying to kind of nurture people and nurture our ecosystem. So that's probably the third aspect that I can talk about.
Thanks for watching this week's Data Science Highlight. Oof, I forgot to send a parcel. See you next week.